Jey Uso has pushed for a horrible WWE idea, and in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that idea is, why it's a horrible one at that, and what they could do elsewhere. Because Jey Uso is back with the Bloodline, he's back with Jimmy and Roman and Sammy. They are slated to take on the new Bloodline of Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu and the Tongas at Survivor Series in War Games. It's going to be an epic match, if not already, because that has been the top feud on SmackDown and in WWE. But there's one thing, though, that it feels like it's unfinished business. And for Jey Uso, he absolutely believes that there is a demand from the fans to see it and a personal interest in it. And we'll get into that more in a minute, because Jey Uso, if you look at his 2024, it's been very interesting because he split away from the Bloodline in 2023. He moved over to Monday Night Raw, and sure, he had a short-term little tag team with Cody Rhodes that was fun, but he really had his breakout year, I believe, in 2024 as a singles guy. I think he had his breakout year when he was deemed main event Jey Uso during the pandemic, and he was feuding with Roman for the undisputed WWE Championship, and they did everything like that. Of course, the Bloodline storyline has been absolutely just spectacular and epic. But 2024, if you look at it from Jey Uso and as a singles star, it's been his year, right? From having multiple matches with Gunther and finally having his match, his dream match with his brother Jimmy at WrestleMania 40, although be it was a lackluster one at that. And then finally winning the Intercontinental Championship. Key moments, key things. And while he didn't hold the championship for very long, it proved to naysayers, it proved to the doubters and the negative ones that said that Jey Uso, he couldn't get it done as a single star. He wasn't good enough to become Intercontinental Champion or a singles champion as that, and he did so, and it's been good. And that leads us to today's video, because if we're going to go back to his singles run, or at least a singles match, that means that he would have to split up with his brother Jimmy. Now, going back to that WrestleMania 40 match from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, fans, they were met with disappointment in this match because Jey, he went over with a spear and then a splash for the win. And earlier this year, while speaking on the gorilla position, Jey noted that he felt like they let people down after much hype and build up for the bout. He also revealed that their match got cut in time, which kind of threw things off. And he made a interesting admission, if not a push, while appearing on the Cheap Heat podcast, and that is today's topic, because he admitted that the bout with his brother left a bad taste in his mouth. He said, "To be honest, I would like to run it back with my brother one more time. I would like it because it left a bad taste in my mouth with that one. I know what we can do. The fans have no clue. I know me and my brother know. And hell yeah, we would have stole the show. It was just things happen. We're all a team." Okay, so look, I think it's very clear, and a lot of longtime supporters here on the channel know this. I'm a huge Jey Uso fan, right? I believe strongly in this guy. I think he can be a future WWE champion. I don't know if WWE Bass necessarily sees that, but I think he can be a top star. And the merch sales and the interest and everything like that certainly back it up. But let's break down what he had to say for a minute. For him to say that he would like to run it back with his brother because it left a bad taste in his mouth, okay, that's understandable, right? You want to right your wrong. You want to improve on what you think you did wrong. You want to capitalize on what you think you did right in that match. But I don't think anyone is clamoring for this match, right? The fact that he thinks that he and his brother could have stole the show and still can steal the show, I think he's wrong. I think in a lot of ways, when WWE splits up tag teams, whether it's Edge and Christian or the Dudley Boys, or they split up brothers like the Hardys, not everything's going to be Marty Jannetty, Shawn Michaels, where they just click and it works, right? Even Bret and Owen Hart, right? Two brothers going at it, having epic chemistry, they're kind of far and few between. If you look at the Hardys, you look at Edge and Christian, you look at the Dudleys, I don't think they're necessarily great feuds. I don't think they're necessarily great dance partners. I don't think they necessarily click in the ring and have a great match. I just don't see that. I don't see how that works, because we've seen the proof in the pudding. And with that being said, Jimmy versus Jey too, I don't want to see it, right? I was someone who was very vocal before Jey and Jimmy realigned together and became a tag team together that I didn't necessarily want to see them be a tag team again. I'm okay with them being alliance members, still am. You don't need to have them either be together or against each other. It doesn't need to be like that. It's kind of like the Hardys, where if you need them, they can get together. If you don't need them, it's a okay, right? It's like Sammy and Jay. But this idea that we're going to run this back after a god awful match that no one is clamoring for, it's just a bad idea. It's something in which you don't need to do. It's something in which I don't think WWE is ever going to do because of that lack of interest. No one's clamoring for it. No one's going back and saying, my favorite match on the WrestleMania 40 card was Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. I don't go back and watch Jimmy versus Jey from WrestleMania, right? You go back and you watch your Damian Priest cashing in, winning the world title. You look back and you look at Sami Zayn versus Gunther, or the tag team main event, or Cody versus Roman. You go back and look at that, or Becky versus Rhea. You don't go back for Jey versus Jimmy. It's just something you don't need. I think it's actually a situation where you don't really need Jimmy to be against his brother. It's not a fair fight, right? Jimmy I think he's swimming up creek. He's swimming against the drain, or the current, where it's like it doesn't work if he's against Jey. Jey is super duper over with the fan base to the point where it's not even in the same stratosphere of being over and being able to stand on your own. If anything, Jimmy needs Jey way more than Jey needs Jimmy, which is ironic considering that I think many people for years felt like Jimmy was the better of the two. But man, when they gave Jey the ball in 2020 during the pandemic and feuding with Roman, he absolutely set the world on fire. He absolutely crushed it, and he showed the fans exactly what he can do. With that being said, you don't need to have Jey and Jimmy run it back. You just don't. You don't need to have them as a tag team. You can just simply have them as an alliance member. In a perfect world, I think you get someone. Maybe you bring in another Samoan, right? Another bloodline member, and have them eventually be paired with Jimmy as a new tag team. Don't call them the Usos, obviously. You can't do that without Jey. But keep Jey as a singles. He's so much better off. He's super duper over. He has a ton more of upside. Him and his brother are the greatest tag team in the modern day era. But they have done it all in this business, from multiple championship reigns to headlining WrestleMania, everything like that. They've done it. They've been there, seen it, done it, conquered it, achieved it. Any kind of cliche you want to say. Let's just